It's Friday, everybody. This is Outnumbered. I'm Sandra Smith. Here today, Fox Business Network's Dagan McDowell, National Review reporter Catherine Timp, Democrat strategist Julie Roginski's on the couch today, and today's #OneLuckyGuy co-host of The Five and host of Cash It In, Eric Bowling, is here, and he is outnumbered. And you always like to remind us of something. Well, we'll get to that later in the show.
Yeah, let's save that.
But I said it was stunning. Pink is hot.
Well, thank you. You guys look amazing as well.
That's a great little paisley tie thingy.
Pocket square?
Pocket square, whatever that is.
Thanks for squeezing us into our schedule.
Listen, I'm proud to be here. Thanks for having me.
This is before we stab you in the neck.
I know. It's all right. I'm ready for it.
Okay, yeah, right. All right, let's get started. More details coming out about the FBI pushing to investigate allegations of pay-to-play at Hillary Clinton's State Department before being denied by the Department of Justice. A new report says 3 field offices wanted an investigation launched earlier this year after a bank alerted the FBI to the so-called suspicious activity of a foreign donor to the Clinton Foundation. It also shows a top Clinton aide assisted the charity in its hiring while she worked as a senior official in the State Department. As first reported on CNN, Cheryl Mills, Hillary's chief of staff at State, traveled to New York in 2012 to interview job candidates for a top job at the foundation. When pressed for an explanation, Clinton's campaign says, quote, Cheryl volunteered her personal time to a charitable organization, as she has to other charities. Cheryl paid for her travel to New York City personally, and it was crystal clear to all involved that this had nothing to do with her official duties. The idea that this poses a conflict of interest is absurd. And the State Department insists Mills' trip to the Big Apple was for, quote, personal travel, and that Mills paid for it herself. With all these new developments swirling around the Clinton campaign, Charles Krauthammer had this reaction when I filled in for Megyn last night.
It was not a charity. It was the sort of headquarters of Clinton, Inc., and the fact that they did not draw a strict line between State Department and the foundation is, to me, astonishing, not because it's quite politically immoral, but because it is so stupid.
All right, Eric, what do you make of all this?
Well, yesterday, Julie and I had a little discussion on the Clinton Foundation. Is it immoral? Is it unethical? Is it illegal? I mean, which one is it? Or is it just politically corrupt? And I think that at least immoral, unethical, and I'm thinking probably illegal as well, and I think they're going to finally get to this. This is a drip, drip, drip because, for one reason, FOIA requests are so difficult to get. It takes literally months to get one, sometimes even longer. I think they have a 75-year backlog on FOIA right now, so these things start to come out. That's why we don't get them all at once. As you get them, you look at them and see what's going on. 3 field offices recommending at least an investigation. Well, I would say you have to start looking at the DOJ. I guess it's going to be Loretta Lynch, who's decided not to open up an investigation. Why? And don't forget, she's the same person who didn't open up an investigation based on James Comey's recommendation, granted, but didn't with the email server scandal. These are scandal against scandal upon scandal-palooza with the Clintons.
It's unbelievable to me to see that reaction from the Clintons, from Hillary Clinton's camp, saying that it's absurd that anybody would think that this looks any other way.
I know. It's like, what was she doing? She was just doing it for fun. Like, she has some time off. You know, you can drink some wine. You can maybe go golfing. No, I'd like to go interview people for the Clinton Foundation, and it's completely just a coincidence that this is my boss's foundation, and there's no way I'm even thinking I'm going to be getting anything out of this. That sounds so ridiculous that I can't believe that she's able to continue to get away with this kind of stuff. I'm like a big fan of logic. I think it's the best, and logic says there's something shady going on.
Is she going to continue to get away with this, or is this going to eventually hurt?
You know, Eric, you and I did talk about this yesterday on The Five, and you know I've been very critical of the foundation and their relationship to the State Department. I will say this particular thing with Cheryl Mills, you have to know the history of Cheryl Mills with the Clintons. The fact is that she's been a factotum of theirs for a generation, if not longer. So it's not a surprise to me that she would be interviewing somebody at the foundation. I don't see the there. In this particular case, what's the conflict of interest?
No,
but honestly,
the conflict of interest is she's doing a favor for her boss.
Is that we've already established the fact that there are people asking the State Department for favors to meet up with, to be introduced, to be brokered to an introduction for someone for business dealings. We know that's going on. They've admitted to that.
I agree.
Well, and if you put a second, before it was Abedin who was getting the calls, and now you put a second one, at least representing the State Department and representing the Clinton Foundation at the same time.
I don't know that she's. Here's the thing to me. Look, let's separate the two issues. The Huma Abedin thing, where she was making money to Neo, she was on the Clinton Foundation payroll, she was on the State Department payroll. To me, that's absurd and it's inexcusable, and that should never have been. For Cheryl Mills to interview somebody for a job at the Clinton Foundation.
Okay,
but you can't separate,
right.
You cannot separate these issues. This is a morass created by the Clintons to basically hide their wrongdoing. They use the complexity of these relationships to their advantage, and they operate with impunity. And if the American people think that they won't do the exact same thing under another Clinton administration, then they are as allergic to the truth as Hillary Clinton
But let's break this down. Let's break down the worst possible case scenario. So Cheryl Mills hires Eric Bolling at the Clinton Foundation, right? She recommends that Eric Bolling gets hired at the Clinton Foundation. And?
Because you're not supposed to do that.
And now there may be access provided either through I want access. Now I can get to the State Department. Now I can get to Hillary Clinton.
Let me
give you another example. This is one that a lot of the people from the business world can understand. You can't work for the government and work for Goldman Sachs.
Okay,
she's not working for them.
But there's a reason
Hold
for
on,
that.
I want to get to one other question.
Of interest.
Going back to these reports now coming out that the FBI wanted to look into this conflict of interest going on, and the Department of Justice denied it. What do you make of that?
If that's true, that's too bad. They should look into it. But look, I will never defend the relationship between the Clinton Foundation and the State Department. I haven't defended it from day one. I'm talking specifically about the Cheryl Mills issue. If somebody,
she worked for the State Department,
I got it.
And she hired for
Eric,
the Clinton
if somebody
Foundation.
at the Clinton Foundation wanted to pick up the phone and call somebody at the State Department, Bill Clinton would pick up the phone and call his wife, Secretary Clinton, to get it done.
Issue
you don't need some staffer to get hired by Cheryl Mills.
Whether it's the White House or the State Department, they have used these jobs where they're supposed to serve the people of the United States to serve themselves and enrich themselves, both in power and purse.
And that's
a separate issue. I don't
behavior. That's all the same.
But I think that the overarching issue, if she's running for the presidency, it's like, do you trust her to operate in the interest of the people and not the interest of the Clintons?
All right, let's move on. Meantime, Donald Trump responding to a letter signed by more than 70 Republicans, including former members of Congress, urging the RNC to cut off funding to his campaign. The letter asks RNC Chairman Reince Priebus to focus party resources on ensuring the GOP majorities in the House and Senate, basically portraying Trump's campaign as a lost cause. Donald Trump telling Eric Bolling on the factor that Priebus told him it's not true that money will be funneled elsewhere. And Trump went on to say that if the RNC ever did so, it would be the party's loss, not his. Listen.
If it is true, that's okay, too, because all I'll have to do is stop funding the Republican Party. I'm the one raising the money for them. In fact, right now I'm in Orlando. I'm going to a fundraiser for the Republican Party. So if they want to do that, they can save me a lot of time and a lot of energy.
And this morning, Newt Gingrich saying it's just another example of Trump versus the Washington elite system.
I think there are establishment deserters all over the place, and I think that they don't understand the Trump insurgency, or they understand it and it frightens them. Trump is a direct assault on that system.
Is this more of what we've been seeing for months now?
So I think this was interesting. No, the other was where, remember the 50 people, GOPers, who signed a letter saying they can't support Trump. That came out on Tuesday after his big economic speech on Monday. Nice timing on that, fellas. Good job. And ladies, if there were any females on this, I'm not sure if what the breakdown was. However, this is different. This is another group of GOPers saying we want Trump not to get access to the RNC. If you know the politics of this are, the RNC is extremely important. The data, the money going back and forth, the information, the phone numbers, the emails. You really need that as a campaign.
You need that. That's a ground game.
So I pushed back Donald last night, Trump, and I said, well, is that at risk? And he said something like, well, you'll find out in November, which I'm not sure. I didn't really get that answer. I don't know what the answer was.
Seemed like he's really trying, and he should have.
I will tell you, though, I'm friendly with Reince Priebus, and he is all in on the GOP winning the election. And that right now, the only person you have on the GOP side is Donald Trump.
Can I point something out? It is now, what, a week or 2 weeks before, or 3 weeks before Labor Day? We're going into the final 90 days of this election. Here's the presidential nominee of the Republican Party on the #1 rated cable show in the country, news cable show in the country. potentially trashing Reince Priebus, fighting with fellow Republicans.
Trashing him.
If he's
he didn't trash him.
or threatening, I should say threatening. We're discussing a GOP civil war.
No, I think he was addressing the 50 Republicans, quote-unquote Republicans, who wanted his funding.
The point is, Eric, he wasn't taking the time to address Hillary Clinton. That's problematic.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, he was wasting time talking about that instead of Hillary Clinton. I would agree with that. And also, he certainly hasn't seemed to have tried that hard to kind of make amends with people that are mad at him. He's still doing the I don't need him then thing. I mean, then it's just fighting on both sides.
These Republicans, though, come on, people. He is your nominee, like it or not. Where were you a year ago or more? As my mother would say, if you can't say something nice, shut your mouth.
All right. We've got to get to this. Breaking just moments ago, Hillary Clinton